I'm going to try to get through this thing. I know y'all are seeing how bad the background is on me. But Dean Legge here once again saying Georgia go through a 43-6 win over the Missouri Tigers. Fifth time this season, if my math's right, that Georgia's not allowed a touchdown. And a not great start. I didn't think Georgia played super great today, okay? I'm just going to say that. Defensively, it was pretty solid. It's hard to really complain. But we're talking about the number one team in the country. We're talking about a program that, really should be, blistering people. And that's what happened today. But I think most fans would have liked to have had a quicker start. I thought Mizzou ran the ball effectively and did so for the first time against Georgia in a long time. I mean, their gain, they had 144 yards rushing going forward. They had some sacks and so forth. We wound up with 121 yards. I think Georgia can play better than this. This was not the best game they've played this season, but it was a very thorough beating. I'll talk about the quarterbacks because Stetson, I thought, was not great today. The deep balls were short, but 13 for 19, two touchdowns, 255 yards. That's a pretty effective day. JT, 7 of 11 with an interception, 82 yards. I thought both quarterbacks, it wasn't great. I mean, it was good. It was good. I think the big thing was it was good to see JT back out there, but it sure seems like this is Stetson's run, at least for the time being. Now, how long that will last, or if that's, nothing seems to be permanent with Georgia at quarterback right now. But I do think that you should expect Stetson to start against Tennessee. But they're not fluid on offense the way they should be, or the way I expect them to be. Now, that's not all which quarterback is in there. So we'll just see. Because the run game was not unreal. I mean, both James and Zamir with 9 carries each, only 16 yards, 14 total for Zamir. So a light day for Zamir. James with a light day too, 41 yards, touchdown. Both those guys had touchdowns. So, they wound up with 168 yards rushing. I didn't think offensively it was anything to write home about. This really was a game where we saw Jermaine Burton come alive. Dijon Edwards certainly had a very good day for sure. Kieris, Arian Smith, I don't know. The pieces are not totally. This is the best team in the country. Okay, they're the best team in the country, and they are. I mean, Alabama, I think, is close to them. I'm not sure anybody else is, but it's Alabama and Georgia. But it's probably Georgia, a little bit of distance, Alabama, and then maybe a decent bit of difference. It's unfortunate for Alabama that they lost that game earlier this year. And, it serves as a reminder of if you lose, then things kind of can go off the table. Everybody's assuming Georgia's going to get to Atlanta undefeated. I am I'm not totally assuming that yet. I think that Kirby kind of sounding the alarm about playing in Neyland. I mean, it's tough to play there, man. And Tennessee can score. If this were the Tennessee of old that kind of couldn't function offensively, okay, I get it. But I think Georgia's going to win the game. They're probably going to be a 3 touchdown favorite over the Vols. It's just what it is. But I think for me, you better be ready for a fight. This is going to be the last time you're really on the road. I mean, Georgia's only had that twice this year, so we're just going to see. And the only quarterbacks who's faced that is Stetson. So let's just see how it goes. I thought Mizzou, the quarterback run game was important for them, and that's why they really kind of got going offensively. Passing, they didn't do much for most of the game, and then as the game went on, they had a little bit, but it was kind of a little too late. I was talking to Matt DeBerry. I was up in the press box today. We switched some things around just to kind of get different perspective, and I knew people would be complaining about Georgia today in terms of the offense. I have been complaining about it, but I want to make sure that we're living based in reality here. And what you really want to do is you want to look at the drive chart. And this is how it went for Georgia. Punt, which got everybody concerned. Five plays, 16 yards. So punt, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It's it's hard to play better than that. When you only have, I'm just really quickly counting here, 10 drives. I mean, that's one, two, three, four, yeah, 10 drives, and you score on, well, they really only had, 9 drives, and they scored on 7 of them. They had an interception where it looked like they were driving into, uh, what is that sound? Where they were driving to score and had a tip ball for JT. The ball was inaccurate, I thought. Now, I'm only watching on what I saw. Stetson had at least one inaccurate ball. Let's compare that to Missouri's situation. At least, I mean, Stetson had a couple of inaccurate balls, but these receivers are so good, they can go up and help you. Well, you get credit for that. Everything doesn't have to be pinpoint. I think Stetson can play better. I think he can deliver the ball better. I've seen Stetson play better. I think we need to see that. If this team's going to win the national championship, the quarterbacks got to perform better. They got to deliver the ball better. It's easy to say that, but they got to do it. Mizzou, punt, field goal, punt, downs, punt, end of half, punt, missed field goal, downs. I mean, there were 3 times in the game, which was the end of the game, where Mizzou had drives of over 7 plays. I mean, their first two, let's see, six-ish, 7 drives of the game were 20 yards, 33 yards, 4, 39, 9, 10, and -8. So, that's not great. But the focus on this game, you know, Georgia got out. I think the start was not unreal, but this is sports, man. You're not just going to blister the other team, no matter how bad they are. Ohio State, it's just not going to happen. So, and this is just, I'm recording this at about 4:30. You can't know what you're getting into with these games, particularly early games. I thought several things were the problem today. Number one, they weren't really ready to play the way they typically are, Georgia. That could be because of a lot of different things. Number one, the time. Well, we know that's not the case. They played unbelievable at noon, Vanderbilt and Kentucky. We've seen how well they played at 2. Number two, you had a big win over the Gators, come back home. Maybe that's it. Okay, I got you there. Definitely the weather, that it was cold. That was I would say, of anything, that was the number one factor. Man, it was way too cold. This was the second coldest kickoff at Sanford in the last, or excuse me, third coldest kickoff at Sanford in the last, since 2010. So, not great. And it was about 50 a season ago when I was out there in Columbia. The game was at 40, barely. So this was similar to that the conditions were much better. But, you look at this team, the defense is just, I mean, I think people get a little bit nervous when the other team gets a first down. Like, it's it's so odd to see that happen. But at the end of the day, when you're just absolutely bludgeoning people, and I mean, Mizzou had 15 first downs, but how many of those were against the third string guys? Well, the third string guys got to play better. That's it. The third stringers at Georgia should beat this Missouri's first string. They just should. And they did, okay, for the record. But it wasn't unbelievable. You don't want to be get off my lawn guy, but there are things that they're going to have to clean up. The punt block was, I asked Kirby about that. And I'm watching things through a 600 millimeter lens. Okay, so you can't see everything, but that didn't seem like they sent Nolan, and in fact, they did not, according to Kirby. They sent Nolan to punt block the first time. They missed it. I don't know how. And then the second time, he pulled the old David Pollock routine where David would just go block punts. Okay, that happened against Clemson one time, Georgia Southern. So or I think it was Clemson, whoever. I know it was against Georgia Southern. And David would just be ready, and he had his responsibilities. And if nobody was going to deal with him, he was going to go block the punt. And that's what Nolan Smith is coming alive. And for all of I want to put Jordan Davis into perspective a little bit. He has become a caricature. He has become something easy to root for. And you kind of, when you cover the team every day, you kind of roll your eyes. Yeah, they're trying to get in on this. The national media is trying to get their teddy bear. And then you see the guy run down the field from the hash marks to the numbers. And you're like, hey, man, uh, that's a lot of man right there. That's a lot of mass. And he's going pretty quick towards that other guy. And if you're the other guy, you don't see it coming because Jordan's coming from the side or the back and just wham. It's not a lot of fun. I do not know. I'm going to show y'all. I do not know what's going on here because that's not for graduation. There's only one home game left. And, I don't know. I'm going to talk a little bit more in another video about Mark Richt. He's important to me personally. I know a lot of the former players, and he's critical in their lives. And like all, Dan Schmatzer, Jerry Josie, for me, Jack Waters, guys that you played for, Norman Wilkerson, people like that in my life who were important in taking their time and sacrificing their family time, and they don't make money. You're not making money coaching at the level of college I played, and even if you are, it's a lot of sacrifice for sure. And Mark was so steady for so many years. He was calm and steady, and to see him shake a little bit with his hands, it hurts me. I'll tell you that right now, it does. And I've admired Mark for more than a decade, not just because of his success in football. And Georgia did the right thing today. This crowd wanted to see Mark out there. I hope it's not the last time we see Mark, but this was awesome to do. And you cannot mention Mark without mentioning Catherine. I mean, Catherine has been there with Mark for a long time, and unfortunately, I think Catherine's um, role in Mark's life is about to grow even bigger than it has been over time, and that's sad, and it's sad. It's good though too that they have that kind of relationship. But I'll talk. I hope to talk more about Mark in the future. He matters to me a lot, and I know maybe he shouldn't because I covered Georgia, but it's hard not to. People use the term respect too much, and Mark was an imperfect person that tried to teach life to people through football. And, Dan Schmatzer, Jerry Josie, Coach Wilkerson, Coach Norm, and certainly Jack Waters, those were people that were really important to me in my development through the years in tennis and basketball. And coaches aren't perfect, and they try. They're a lot smarter after the fact. I've learned from talking to my coaches through the years, and we love them, and I love my coaches. And to see Mark was great. This Georgia team is has a chance to cement a legacy, and they can do so in 7 days. There's not a lot of undefeated seasons in SEC history, and Georgia has the capability and should be undefeated when they play after they leave Knoxville. It is not going to be a simple start to that game. And Tennessee can score, so they're never probably going to be out of it. But Georgia better be ready for a big time booby trap game. Tennessee's going to be ready to fight. You'd better be ready to fight, and figuratively. So composure, execution, all of these things are going to be important for the Dawgs as we get ready for an attempt at a undefeated SEC season. And even if they're not trying for that, playing up at Tennessee, it's a big deal. They're not a rival, not yet, not right now, but it's a big game. It's about as big a game as you can get without it being a true rivalry. Georgia can't have a rivalry with everybody. Okay, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, not quite close, but it's a big game. And it's in the way of Georgia being undefeated for the season. We'll see you up there in Knoxville, and on the way, go to dogpost.com. We'll see you on the website.